Walter S. Gerard, Sunday School Director for New Spirit Baptist Church here in Dallas, Texas, where the Reverend Otis Grimes is pastor. And our lesson for today, June the 22nd, in the year of our Lord 2025, is Isaac Calls on the Name of the Lord. Our reference scriptures for this lesson are taken from the book of Genesis, the 26th chapter, and the 24th through the 33rd verse. Now, I'm going to be conducting this lesson more as a lecture instead of sticking to the script throughout the entire lesson. As you know, a lot has been going on the last few weeks. There's been graduations, Mother's Day, there's been the 19th of June, there's been Memorial Day. So a lot's been happening. So I haven't put together a complete script, but these lessons are lessons that we've already studied before. So I'm going to do a lot of ad-libbing instead of sticking to a script. This is lesson 4 in our lesson series, Sacred Altars and Holy Offerings. And it's lesson 4 in unit 1 also of this lesson series, the Genesis of Altars and Sacrifices. Unit 1, the Genesis of Offerings and Sacrifices. As you might expect, after lessons about Old Testament characters who were the first to build altars and make sacrificial offerings, we now come to the patriarch Isaac. Altars were built where interactions with God were made. So we'll study why Isaac interacted with God. This interaction was a form of worship which included calling on God for divine intervention. This and more is what this short lesson is all about. Reading the scriptures from the New International Version of the Bible, Genesis, the 26th chapter, and the 24th through the 33rd verse is as follows. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase your numbers and will increase the numbers, that is, of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerard with Azuath, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked them, Why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away? They answered, We saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, There ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you, that you will not do us no harm, or rather, that you will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. And now you are blessed by the Lord. Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peacefully. That day, Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, We've found water. He called it Shabbat. And to this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, the hearing, and the understanding of his holy word. Some of the events leading up to our lesson, to our printed text rather, are curiously similar to those that led up to last week's lesson, to last week's printed text, that is. In last week's lesson, Abraham had dug a well of water in Beersheba, the land of the Philistines. And the Philistines quarreled with his servants about the well, and they seized it. So the king of Gerard, who is Abimelech, and his commander of his army, Phicol, made a treaty for peace with Abraham. In this week's lesson, Abraham's son Isaac also dug a well in the land of the Philistines, which the Philistines quarreled about. In fact, he dug 2 wells, and the Philistines quarreled about both of them. So then he moved on and dug a 3rd well, and that well was not quarreled over. Then after that, he went to Beersheba. The night after that 3rd well, the night after he went to Beersheba, is where our printed text begins. In verse 24, we see that the Lord appeared to Isaac in a dream and announced himself to him as the God of his father, Abraham. He went on to tell Isaac to not be afraid because he was with him, God with Isaac, that is. God told Isaac that he would bless him and make his descendants numerous for the sake of Abraham, his servant. Now, this extended the promise that God had made to Abraham. It extended it on to Isaac, that his descendants would be numerous. So now I'm going to start ad-libbing. I'm through with the script. We see in verse 25 that after Isaac had that encounter with the Lord in the dream, he built an altar and he called on the name of the Lord. And there he pitched his tent, and it is there his servants dug a well. Now, meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerard, and he came with Azutha, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces or his army. So Isaac, when he saw them, he asked them why they had come to him, since they were hostile to him when they had sent him away. And what that is a reference to, if you study the background scriptures, is that when Isaac had become wealthy in the land of the Philistines they seized the wells that Abraham had dug, and they covered them up with earth, so that Isaac couldn't feed his cattle. And so they forced him away, is what happened. Isaac had to move on, and each time he moved, the Lord blessed him, and he was able to find water. And of course, at that time, there was a drought in the land, and water was hard to find. So he wanted to know why the king of the Philistines, Abimelech, had come to him with his advisor and with the leader of his army. Now, they answered him. They said that they saw that the Lord was with Isaac. And they realized that because of how Isaac had begun to increase in wealth. Even though there was a drought in the land, he was able to find water, and his cattle were increasing. He had servants and all. So they came to him and said that they had decided that an agreement needed to be made between them and Isaac. He said they needed to make a treaty. So now, as it turns out, they were afraid of Isaac. These Philistines were. They said that they did not harm Isaac but that they had always treated him well and they sent him away peacefully. Now that wasn't true. Uh, they forced Isaac to move on because they were afraid of him, because of his wealth, and they knew that the Lord was with him. So they were afraid to go against Isaac and offend his God, because they saw that his God was powerful, the God of Isaac, which was also the God of Abraham. And they said, "And now you are blessed by the Lord." So they were afraid of Isaac because of his God. And so then Isaac made a feast for him. And as we know, a feast has always been a way to have good relations with people, especially when there was going to be some sort of a treaty or something that was to be made. So Isaac made a feast for them, and then they ate and they drank. And then early the next morning, that's when the treaty was made. We see in verse 31 that at that time, Isaac and Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, and the two people he brought with him, his personal advisor and the commander of his army, they made a treaty of peace. And then Isaac sent them away peacefully. That day is when his servants came and told him about the well that they had done, that they had dug, that they had found water. So Isaac then called that place Sheba. And to this day, or at least to the day that this was written, the name of the town has been Beersheba. Now, as we know, it was already named Beersheba in Abraham's day, Isaac's father. So I'm not real sure about why verse 33 says that to that day, the name of the place was Beersheba. It was already been Beersheba. Now, what this lesson shows is that Isaac was actually nervous. He was afraid that the Philistines were going to attack him, because they had really been hostile toward him, because they were envious of him because of his wealth. So Isaac, after he had the interaction with the Lord in the dream, he built an altar and he called on the name of the Lord. Now that's a lesson for us. Whenever we see adversity, or as they used to say, the wolf coming, whenever we see that things might not go well with us, we call on the Lord. Even better, we should call on the Lord anyway before those times come upon us. And when we do, it should be in the right spirit. We should realize who God is. He is the only true and living God, and he can provide for our every need. We don't have to be afraid of anybody or anything, because God is with us if we are sincere about our worship of him and understand who he is. So Isaac called on the Lord. Isaac called on the name of the Lord. I hope you've gained at least one thought from this lesson. May God bless you, and may he ever keep you.